The scripture passage that's going to frame what we're studying this evening is from Matthew 25, 32 to 40. And so Elijah, would you like to read this slide for us?
Sure. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world."
That is a very, very precious verse, that last one that Elijah read. Because understand, the kingdom is not what we earn. The kingdom was given to us before the creation of the world. Because it was prepared for you since the creation of the world. So we don't earn it. He also says, you who are blessed by my Father. Being blessed by the Father means you have your eyes open and your ears open to the kingdom. And you know the truth. You know God. You know Jesus. You know the Holy Spirit. And so that's the blessing. Jesus talks about that in Matthew chapter 13 when he is speaking his first parable, and he talks about the parable of the soils, and the disciples tell Jesus, your teaching strategy isn't working, people don't understand you. And Jesus' answer is, they are not supposed to, but blessed are your eyes, blessed are your ears, because they understand. And so the evidence that you belong to Jesus Christ, you're a child of the kingdom, is this evidence on this next slide. I'm going to have you, Josiah, read this one.
For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me.
Thank you. That is the evidence that you belong to the kingdom, because that is what Jesus is saying. Now, I'm applying this to this whole subject of being pro-life, and we know, people who have had an abortion. What is our responsibility to someone who has had an abortion?
We need to love them.
That is right. And so a person who's had an abortion, that's very traumatic. It's very filled with guilt. I know that abortionists say it's not a problem. It is a problem. And so they are hungry for what?
Forgiveness?
Exactly. For love. For acceptance. I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to embrace me. I need love. And so I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. Thirsty, same idea. And when you talk about I am a stranger, a lot of people cast out someone who's had an abortion. They will not befriend them. God's people befriend. We administer God's love and grace. I needed clothes. I think that can be referring to the fact that you need the righteousness of Jesus Christ, like that prodigal son that returns. And the father puts his robe around that son, covering him in the father's own righteousness. How can I have my sins covered? How can I continue to live? I was sick. You looked after me. I was in prison. That prison doesn't necessarily mean a place of bars where you are placed, like in Newton. You can be in a prison that you just can't find a way out. I need forgiveness. I need somebody to love me, teach me, assure me of forgiveness. Verse 37, Gary.
Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? You want me to read 37 or not?
I want you to read the whole slide. Yeah, please.
When did we see you, a stranger, and invite you in, or need clothing and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of those brothers of mine, you did for me.
Thank you, Gary. And so that is the evidence that you know Christ's forgiveness. You know his love in your own life. And therefore, you are very effective in comforting other people, embracing other people, being a friend to them. And so the least of these, I think, in our minds, we could say, well, a woman who has had an abortion, what can be lower down than that individual? If they belong to Christ, they are going to feel guilt, they're going to feel shame, and they're going to need your and my love, God's grace and mercy administered to them. The lesson is going to end more on this topic, but that is what I'm introducing it with today. And so in your papers, I believe we have the first 7 of these finished last week. And what we're doing here is that we are studying apologetics. We're studying current issues is what we're doing. And so these are arguments that pro-abortionists use, but we're not calling ourselves anti-abortionists. We're calling ourselves pro-life, because that's what we are. We're not anti-abortion, and that's it. We are for pro-life. And so we are ready for number 8. I really want to finish this evening, and then Ivan has something to share with you for the next few weeks that I'm going to be gone. So number 8, if somebody says to you that we want to promote legislation that prohibits abortion, and they say to you, we cannot legislate morality, how are you going to respond to that? And you who are here joining us tonight, you just speak right up, okay? Some of us are shy here in this group. Are you shy? You're not shy, are you, Josh? No. We love you. Would you have a response? Anybody may answer, but if you want to respond to this argument, we cannot legislate morality, how would you respond to that?
I would point to the fact that we have consequences for murdering people. Obviously, we legislate morality there, try to uphold life, or you could go down the path of arguing that you can't take a life, and that's legislating morality when you take a life, and compare it to you shall not murder, people killing people. That's illegal.
So your argument is we are already legislating morality.
Yeah.
Am I hearing you well?
Yeah, you are.
Thank you. Anybody else want to respond to that?
In a democratic republic, we usually end up getting what we want, right? We change the laws. So if the point that I'm trying to say is that if the nation doesn't want us to prohibit abortion, the law will not be put into place. So don't you first have to start with changing the heart and soul of the nation before they're going to make the law to support? Does that make sense, my logic there?
Ivan, you are making great sense.
So I think it's kind of a catch-21. Well, we can legislate morality, but we can change the laws. We're a democracy, right? So we have to change the heart and soul of the people, and that's the job of the church, correct?
I believe that's the purpose of the church.
And then that is what changes the law. And I kind of think that's kind of what happened. We at least beat down Roe versus Wade. Some states put up some roadblocks to abortion, and some have opened up the floodgates, right? Depending on the morality of the state.
Ivan, I appreciate your comments. I want
I want to get off my soapbox now, that's my position.
somebody got a taller soapbox? Ivan, you bring up something very, very important. I don't know which one of the church of the fathers of the Constitution said it. I think it's Adams or Madison, who said this document is going to be a wonderful document if people live under the Word of God. If they ever crawl from under the Word of God, this document is going to be, I don't know what word he used. Dan, do you remember what?
No, I was gonna, I think the word morality is in there. It's for the moral people. Yeah, I think it's for moral people.
But he said this is just going to be a tremendous disaster. And at the time that the Constitution was written, there was a Christian foundation, there was a morality that was biblical. And I think, you may argue with me, because this is a discussion, that previously all of the laws that were passed in this country reflected the moral law of God. And you get Roe versus Wade, that is not reflective of the law of God. That is humanism, man deciding what is right. The same thing with gay rights. That's also doesn't come from an understanding of the moral law of God. It comes from a man humanistic foundation. And so we have slowly been drifting away, and now we have the church that's basically, from my perspective, on the sideline of our culture. Anybody want to agree or disagree? You are welcome to do that.
That's because we were founded on Christian principles, is why every other religion in the world is accepted in our culture, and why the only free game is the Christian, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's because that's how you destroy the morality of this country. Make it not be a Christian country anymore.
And so,
its base.
Here again, I'm speaking from my perspective. I think white supremacy is an attack on the moral foundations of this country that is Christian. And so they're talking that kind of direction so that they want to move us away from the moral law. Those of you who attend the Bible study in Independence Village, we've been spending weeks on Psalm 2. We did finish it, by the way. But you have this whole idea, let's break their chains, let's break their fetters. Those are the people that rebel against God. That's what they're doing. And that's what we see in our own legislation, and that is why abortion has become legal. What year was that passed? Do you remember, Ivan?
Don't remember, Al. I wasn't into politics when that was passed, I don't think.
1973 is when it was passed. I was teaching school, I remember, and I just thought, this is where we are. Tremendous, tremendous. Well, here are the responses that I have for you. I'm sorry, Dan.
Well, so I kind of agree with this statement actually, because I've always said this: you cannot legislate people to act morally. What I'm sitting here thinking about, your reference when the Constitution was written, is it safe to say, did they have a higher level of morality back then than we do today?
Anybody want to answer that? I want to.
Because here's where my mind is going. Today we have mountains of more legislation than what they had back then, but it feels like we're more immoral today than they were back then. So all the legislation we've got has not increased the morality.
So you're speaking what Romans chapter 8 speaks, is that what the law cannot do. Law never brings about morality.
Right.
You travel down 163 and the speed limit is 65. You know how that works.
The legislation we have is for the immoral people.
Boy, you said something profound.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
But I think that's pointing out two different meanings to this question. One is, can we legislate something that is based off of a religious morality? That's really, I think, what they're trying to point out. But you're pointing out the other half of it, yeah, even if we have all the laws, like deer crossings, they can't cross here. I mean, people don't follow them, right?
Right.
We can't force people into a particular behavior just because of the laws.
Right.
Now, we can make it harder for them, or more consequential.
Create
But,
consequences
yeah.
if they violate it.
but those are two different meanings of the same words
Yeah.
there, which I think is really good to think about.
Thank you, John, very much. And thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to speak? I think it's your turn, Michaela. Are you saying?
Are you saying we never legislate morality?
And so that's what your brother Josh was just talking about. And we have this one, Isaac.
We legislate against murder, cruelty, child abuse, incest, rape, stealing, and so on.
Yes. Does that mean it never happens? But it's wrong, it's illegal. We legislate against it, but we all understand no law will make anyone be obedient. We can't do that. Number 3, Verla.
Anti-slavery laws and all civil rights legislation legislate moral behavior.
So we've been doing that over many, many years. And John.
The fact of the matter is, we do legislate morality.
And I think that's what Josh was saying, if I understand that right. And Ivan, we're ready for you. Oops, I'm sorry.
A healthy society aims to put into law what is morally good, just, and right.
So are you all in agreement with those responses?
I think the crucial word is a healthy society,
Why do you say that, Ivan?
because I don't think we have a healthy society anymore.
How many of you would agree with that? Our society is sick.
So the battle is going to continue forever.
So my
And then-
question is, aren't we a republic still? I mean, a republic is the rule of law, not the rule of man. I mean, otherwise you have mob rule, you know, and so, which is kind of what you're seeing, I mean, happen where you have all these people who are demonstrating violently that they want to have, you know, their way, be it whatever subject we're talking about. But as a republic, you have the laws that were given by the standard of God. I mean, by what standard do you use? You have to go by God's standard. And that's what we were. So my question is, are we still a republic or have we become a democracy?
Anybody want to respond to Verla? I assume you heard her.
We're a democratic republic. We put people in place to change laws. And the morality of the nation determines who you put in place to change the laws. That's what I think. So,
I don't even think the people we put in listen to the people that they are supposed to be representing. I think it's a really corrupt government.
I want to agree with you. I'm sorry to agree with you, but I have to agree with you. There is so much corruption in government, and I think the Minnesota, events are just proving that. And mob rule, that's what we're going to have. And maybe that is what there's a certain group in this culture that want to have, because I think their goal is to overthrow this country, not from outside, but from within. And they are doing everything possible to do that. That comes through the media, the lying that they hear, and so on. Are you ready to go to the next one, number 9? And we're ready for you, Mariah.
No special needs child should be brought into this world.
What is a special needs child?
Abby would say Josie, and Josie would say Abby.
We're glad you were brought into this world.
Well, they can test for all kinds of disabilities now, or abnormalities in utero, so they give you, I was given the option with my kids, do you want to do an amniocentesis to find out if something is wrong?
And then if there is something wrong,
Well, I just chose never to do it, because I mean, why worry? Needlessly ahead of time, God gives what God gives, I mean, and then He gives you the strength to get through it, right?
well, when I read that and I think of that, you folks have taken in Luke, and Luke would be considered a special needs child.
And to be truthful, Luke was not born with special needs. He just had a problem about 18 months that made him this way, but his parents wouldn't change it for the world, right? He's been such a blessing to his family and here at church and us that
I know of a mother who carried a child that she knew had spina bifida, isn't that what they call it? Missing the covering of the backbone. And the doctors told her that your child will die right after it is born. You should abort this child. And she refused. She says, I'm going to give this child life. And she bore that child. The child died soon after it was born. But she lives with a heart full of love and peace and joy. And so, any other responses to this, and what would you say?
You ever met a Down syndrome child? You ever know anybody with Down syndrome? They were the happiest people you ever met, right? So I mean, they're the biggest blessing you've ever come across. Those people. What a bunch of nonsense is what I say.
Little Jeff Stursman. Well, he's not little. He must be 40 years old by now. If you go to Culver's, he works at Culver's some of the time, and he is one of the happiest people. Just wonderful. John?
I think part of what you brought up there, right? Luke wasn't born this way. Are they then, I challenge them and say, hey, are you arguing for, hey, someone has an accident or an injury, should we take the same approach there and kill them off?
It's a very good argument. Very good argument.
I read an article the other day that, speaking of Down syndrome, countries, I think it was Denmark, they mentioned the article, they're within a couple decades of, they say, totally eradicating Down syndrome in their population, just strictly by, like you said, doing the tests in utero and then aborting anyone they can find. They said they're down a couple percent, they're really close to it, they said. And it was an article that said, this is amazing. So, yeah.
I think we see the fruit of a culture that is based on humanism. And it's very selfish, it's a very violent culture of death. So we're going to continue here. The first response we could give, I think, Cole, it's your turn.
Children with disabilities are human beings with special needs.
You would all agree with that. Made in the image of God. Number 2, Rich.
When we kill a special needs child, we are killing a human being.
Everybody understands that. And number 3, Deb.
A special needs child is entitled to the only life they will ever have, especially deserving our love, care, and protection.
God brings them into our lives, sometimes into our families. They are given to us. We demonstrate, we apply, we administer God's love, God's grace, God's mercy. And the evidence of that would be, again, Matthew 25 that we just read together. I was hungry and you gave me food. That whole thing. They are God's people. Anybody want to speak more to this one? Number 10. I think it's your turn, Ryan.
Rape victims should not be forced to bear a child that they did not will to have.
Ivan, you don't have a paper. Did you want a paper?
I'm fine. I can keep up.
Two wrongs doesn't make a right.
Explain that.
Well, by aborting a child that was conceived in rape is a bad thing. It's not gonna undo the rape. If you look at a ultrasound of a child who was conceived through rape and another child, you can't tell the difference.
I like what you said a little bit, or I like what you said off. You said something very significant. And aborting a child of a rape does not undo the rape. Did I hear you say that? So, this person has been raped and she is now pregnant. What are you going to do? What are you going to say?
I say there's a lot of couples that would love to have that child. They don't want it. They can just take it, have it to term and then give it up for adoption. There's a lot of couples that would love to raise that child.
And
God has a plan for that child.
there are no accidents.
My grandma was conceived in rape.
Really.
On my mom's side.
And her mother brought her, kept her. Did the mother keep her as her child, or was your grandmother put out for adoption?
She was the baby. Like found at 12.
Wow. Because you have to be here, Ben. Yeah. It might be interesting if, Ben knows something about his life, but, all of our ancestors, where do we come from? What's the history of each one of us? We live in a rather civilized culture at the moment, that we don't know the past of our history. So you would all keep this child, am I with you on that? You would tell this mother to bring the child to full term. Here we go. Number 1, Corey. Oh, I'm sorry.
When rape happens, we're loving, patient, kind, and gracious to the victim.
That is so important. That's Matthew 25. I was hungry, I was thirsty. Number 2.
We try to help the victim understand that adoption is better than abortion.
Why would that be the truth?
What are you getting at? I mean, it's obvious that it's a human being. Not killing it is better than killing it. So what are you trying to dig for here? I mean, I don't understand your question.
And so what it is that if a rape victim has an abortion, there's going to be guilt. There's going to be tremendous emotions to live with. Bringing the child to full term is a whole nother story that would be biblical. Number 3.
Abortion does not make one unraped.
And that's what Cole said a bit ago. And number 4.
Justice is not served to the rape victim by punishing the unborn baby.
Yes. This is a life. We talked about that more last week. That unborn baby is a separate human being. And why should that unborn child be punished by ending its life because of a rape? And so I think these are biblical answers to this situation.
Al, one of the other things to tie in with number 4, a lot of people ask, why punish the child for the sin of the father? Right? It gets to justice.
Wow. Yeah. That's excellent. Thank you, John.
But in reality, how that's going to happen is if somebody gets raped, she goes to the doctor, and yet that night they're going to give her a pill that she doesn't even know she's pregnant. It's going to be called precautionary. And she's going to, so if this poor woman is in shock, she's not going to make her decision, and that's how it happens. Right? Once again, society.
Thank you, Ivan.
I'm kind of a counter.
I think I'm a realist.
We're ready for number 11, and I think it is Lily's turn.
People are going to have abortions anyway, so we might as well legislate them.
There's a whole lot of things we don't want legislated legal.
Thank you, Dave.
I feel like that's as dumb as saying, well, people are doing drugs anyway, so we might as well make drugs legal. Or people are still killing people, shooting up schools, we should just make that legal too.
That's way too logical a position.
Love your answers, John. It makes the same amount of sense. So we just legislate, I mean, make everything legal that people are doing.
But we do that, right? We bring needles to the street so they can shoot up heroin. We do all these stupid things.
They have like dispensers now for that naloxone or naloxone, whatever it is, outside of
That brings you
cases
back
in
to
certain
life, yeah,
places,
yeah.
you know, so.
Well, we see how the states that have legalized marijuana, we see how that's working out for them. Not great.
I think we see that everything that goes against the moral law of God does not work. Here are the responses that I want to bring before you, and I think this is your turn, Crystal.
Okay, would you say then that we should legalize rape?
And that's what you're saying already, Josh. You have that same thought. And Abby.
Should we legalize child abuse since people are going to commit these atrocities anyway?
Same thing as Joshua spoke up. Ben.
Should we legalize murder and stealing?
And so that's the argument you want to give back to them. That's the last one I have of those responses. Do you have any other thing you want to add to? I'm going to go to number 12. And it is your turn, Abby Hall.
Legalizing abortion will save the lives of mothers by making abortion safer.
I don't know of too many mothers who lose their lives having a baby nowadays.
Thank you, Nikki.
I would challenge safer for who as well.
Safer for who? This is a common argument, and it sounds kind of nice on the surface. The responses that we're going to use are these, and Nikki, I think it's your turn.
Statistics show that most abortions occur outside of hospitals in the privacy of one's home.
And Ivan, you were getting after that a bit ago, I think, with the abortion pill, that legalizing abortion will save the lives of mothers by making abortion safer. One of the arguments is, well, it's being done in their home, And whether you legalize it or not, how's that going to make anything safer? Number 2, Dan.
Only 17 states require abortion clinics to meet the same standards of health as hospitals.
And that's the most recent I can find. And Josie.
Legalizing abortion has not saved lives. It has actually resulted in the loss of almost 63 million children since 1973, and that number continues to grow.
And so since abortions, more of them are done in the home than they are in the hospital, legalizing abortion is not going to make a difference. We go to number 13, and we are with you, Elijah.
We should not project our morality on others.
That's a little different than we had with number 8. Number 8 is legislating it. Now we're talking about we project. This is my morality. This is what I think. And so you have to live by my morality. That is that argument that they do. I had that happen to me when I was studying at the University of Northern Iowa, and I had to did a whole project on American history for talented and gifted kids, and I thought it was really good. And my professor, who was not a Christian, he just scribbled over the top of it, "You are imposing your morality on your students. You have no right to do that." And I was too young and too foolish to understand. He had just put his morality on my paper. And so this is an interesting argument. How would you respond to that?
Well, if we're not allowed to project our morality onto others, then others can't project their morality onto us, and after a while, no one's speaking to each other.
It's not a matter of projecting morality on others. The whole thing is whose morality is going to be projected. Here are the responses that we have. Josiah?
This is exactly what the Supreme Court did in 1973.
And that's when they legislated the morality that abortion was protected in the United States Constitution. That's a projected morality. We continue. Gary?
Projecting our moral rights on others is not wrong, but destroying the moral rights of others is always wrong.
You understand that? It's not wrong to project our moral rights. I think you young people, your parents kind of project their morality on you, don't they? And you're pretty grateful for that. I think I know you well enough. Yeah. What do they mean by destroying the moral rights of others?
Well, both sides should have the ability to speak their minds.
And so this little child that's aborted, his or her rights have been destroyed. Number 3. Josh.
If we had not projected our morality on others on January 1st, 1863, slavery would have continued in America for many more years.
And that was a huge, huge projection of morality. The Civil War comes out of that projection. We have number 14.
Abortion is a good solution to an unwanted pregnancy.
What do you think of that, Michaela?
I don't think it's a very good solution.
You got a better one?
I think that they should have the child. Because the child doesn't have a choice, so they shouldn't be making a choice over the child's life.
How many of you think Michaela's speaking the truth?
Amen, right?
Love it, Michaela. Love it. The responses that we have here, Isaac.
Might adoption not be a better solution for the babies and their mothers as well?
Why is adoption better for the mother of this child than an abortion? Ben.
She won't have all that guilt destroying her the rest of her life.
Exactly. Verla.
We should help the parents understand, although it's difficult to have give your child to a stranger, it's an easier and better decision than taking the life of your baby.
That's right, and just like we just said a bit ago with Ben, this mother should have peace in her mind that she gave birth to this child, and that child is only going to be in her memory. She's always wanting to know, and I know a lot of children who have been adopted have been able to find their birth parents, and it's just a wonderful blessing. Number 3, John.
Most women with unwanted pregnancies mainly need love, encouragement, and help.
Is that true? I believe that's true of everyone who's has sin in their life and struggling with sin and trying to work in an unwanted pregnancy. That's just so difficult. But they need our love, our encouragement, and our help. And we're going to do number 15, then I'm going to stop, and Ivan is going to speak. Number 15, it is your turn, Ivan.
No unwanted baby should ever be born. I had 4 unwanted babies. But they were a blessing once they got here, right?
Love it, Ivan. Gary, you got a response to that?
Technically, aren't all babies somewhat unwanted because all part of God's plan? You can try and try and try, but if it's not part of God's plan, it won't happen. So all life, or all babies technically unwanted. So we're just gonna kill all the babies then? Is every person gonna be aborted?
Pretty good answer.
Which is kind of what I was saying, actually.
I kind of piggybacked off.
Yeah, boy.
It was great. Great response.
Maybe we should call them surprise babies more than unwanted. I don't know.
This gets down to you control the language, you can control the argument, so what's meant by the word unwanted?
I think it's unplanned.
Yeah.
And maybe it has to do, unplanned would be what I would think would cover it all. Here are the responses that they present to us. I forget where it is.
This contains a massive assumption
What is it?
that you know what's best for you.
Are unwanted babies unwanted? Or does that change? Ivan just kind of said, you changed your mind, right?
Well, I'll just say this. When my first child was born, I'm 60 years old. I got grandbabies, okay? So when my first child was born, my wife had a job. She was pretty good at it. And she had absolutely no plans of quitting her job. Right up until she held the baby for the first time. And then life changed, and she was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. And she had no plans of that. So that unwanted baby, that surprise, I don't mean to say that they were unwanted, they were a surprise. We weren't expecting that early when we got married. But she was the most wanted child in the world once her mama held her. So that's my point.
I think that's the assumption. Number 2, Cole.
The assumption is that an unwanted conception will automatically lead to an unwanted baby.
And that's an assumption. And in many, many, many cases, you've heard of preborn, right? Where they show an ultrasound of the baby. According to what I know about that group, So many mothers change their mind because they see this child and their whole heart is changed. Number 3, Rich.
Many mothers change their mind when they see their baby by means of ultrasound and counseling.
And number 4.
They now look forward with joy to the gift that God has given them.
All right. I wanted to finish this tonight, but I don't believe in going until the cows come home. And there is more that I want to share with you. I want you to know the resources that we can be involved in. It's not on your paper. I want to talk to you about how does a person who has had an abortion, what's their relationship to God? What is the whole business of a father who encourages an abortion? What is our response to a person who's had an abortion? And so I have, I think, enough for one more lesson on this, but it's not going to happen until the 29th of March. Is that okay? I'm going to be gone to Cambodia and Korea for a few days. And